Welcome once again to Full Court Press. I'm your host, Jordan D'Souza, joined alongside Matthew Andujo and Alex Russell. With the playoffs rapidly approaching, we're going to take a look at the seeding in both the Western and Eastern Conference, trying to figure out what the Kyrie Irving injury means for both the Celtics and the East as a whole. And finally, we'll do our best to give you some insight on some key matchups to look forward to. So guys, first off, I want to say it's been a great season. It's been a pleasure working with you guys. So on today's show, I want to start off with the Eastern Conference. And one of the main storylines, I think, from this week is the Kyrie Irving injury. Matt, I'm going to start with you. What does this injury mean for the Celtics? And more importantly, how does this help shape the Eastern Conference playoff picture?
So before the Kyrie Irving injury, we had a three-horse race. We had the Raptors, we had the Celtics, and we had the Cavs. I believe this Kyrie Irving injury eliminates the Celtics from making it to possibly the NBA Finals. I honestly believe that they don't even have enough to get out of the first round. Right now, they're scheduled to play the Wizards. I feel like they don't have an on-ball player that can just create for others, put the ball on the floor, and score. Even with Marcus Smart out, I think you let the young guys go out loose, and I feel like they don't have enough.
Yeah, I think to me it's going to be more of a learning experience. It's going to be a great time for these young guys on the Celtics to really prove what they can do, especially Jason Tatum. Yeah. I'm going to be looking forward to see what he can do. Alex, what about you?
Yeah, kind of feeding off Matthew, I think that Kyrie was kind of the driving force behind the Celtics' success. Mm-hmm. And I mean, they are 12-6 without Kyrie. But I still think that Kyrie was kind of the pushing force to get them past the first round and then the second round into the Eastern Conference Finals. So I don't think that they can, depending on who they play, how it all shakes out, I don't think they'll get past the first round.
Yeah, and like you said, they have been good since Kyrie's been hurt, but I think that regular season basketball and postseason basketball are just two different things. Yeah. I think when it comes down to it in the postseason, it's whose stars can shine the brightest, and the fact that they don't have Gordon Hayward, and now they're not going to have Kyrie Irving, they don't really have any stars that are going to be able to carry them deep into the playoffs. And I want to take a look at what you said, that first round matchup. It's going to be most likely, as it stands now, it's going to be the Celtics and the Wizards. Yes. Do you guys expect the 7-seeded Wizards to end up beating the Celtics in the first round?
I do. I just think John Wall's back, and the Wizards did give up a game last night to the Cavs that they should have had for sure, but I think in a 7-game series, I just don't think without Kyrie, without Marcus Smart, obviously no Gordon Hayward, I don't think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Al Horford could carry the Celtics through a series like that.
Matt, what about
going
you?
off what Alex said, I don't believe they have enough, especially with John Wall coming back to the Wizards. I believe that puts them over the hump. And then, like what she said, the inexperience, the youth of the Celtics have, it's just not enough. The playoffs, like you said, the playoffs are different. A lot of matchups are just keyed up on. It's a lot more defensive heavy, more focusing on matchups, and they just don't have a player that can score. Can you really rely on an Al Horford to give up about 20 points a game, or Marcus Morris trying to give up 20 points a game? I just don't believe that's enough.
I know, yeah, it looks like we're going to have the rematch from last year's Celtics-Wizards. And if you really look at it, if you take this Celtics team right now without Kyrie Irving, are they worse or better than they were last year? That Celtics team that did beat the Wizards, I mean, if we think about it, the Wizards did take them to 7, but I'm going to have to agree with you guys. With John Wall back, I think the Wizards are going to be able to take that first round matchup. And another potential matchup I want to talk about. So tonight we have the Sixers and the Cavs playing on NBA TV. Right now, as it stands, the Cavs are the 3 seed and the Sixers are the 4 seed behind them. Only a half a game separating them. What's something that you guys are going to be looking for in this matchup? Do you think that the Sixers, by some way, are going to be able to usurp the Cavs as the 3 seed this year? Alex, I'm going to start with you.
I think there's high potential for it. I mean, the Cavs are coming off a back-to-back. This is their last leg of it tonight. LeBron, obviously, being LeBron in the past couple games, but I still think Ben Simmons and, I mean, obviously Joel Embiid's still out, but I feel like if they pass the Cavs for the 3 seed, that puts them in a really great position, because then they're on the opposite side of the Raptors. They could get pushed more farther in the playoffs and stuff, and I think they could beat the Cavs.
I think with this whole Kyrie Irving injury, this just clears up another kind of spot for the Sixers to maybe make it to the Eastern Conference Finals. If they can somehow find a way to get that 3 seed, then they'll be looking at a potential second round matchup with either the Wizards or the depleted Celtics to help them get to the Eastern Conference Finals. Matt, I'm going to start with you. Is that something that you're looking forward to, or do you think that maybe might not be happening?
There's definitely a chance with this Cavs team. You don't know what they're going to do, the uncertainty around them. You know, a young team, a lot of young, inexperienced players that really haven't been to the playoffs, like a Rodney Hood, like a Jordan Clarkson, a Larry Nance. So there's absolutely a chance that the Sixers could pass the Cavs for that 3 seed. I think it all relies on the X factor. I think that's Markelle Fultz. Can he put the ball on the floor? Can he score? Can he be that third option that they desperately need with Embiid, being kind of iffy with the injury right now. Ben Simmons, we all know he's going to show up and at least give up a triple-double effort. So I think it all relies on Markelle Fultz. Is he able to at least put in about 15 to 17 points per game, even 12 to 15 points to get them over the hump, over the 3 seed.
Definitely. How the stars are aligning in the East, it looks like LeBron's going to have another path to the finals once again. And one other potential matchup I want to take a look at is actually the 1 seed and the 8 seed. So it's going to be, as it stands now, it would be Bucks and Raptors. And if we remember last year, the Bucks actually gave the Raptors some trouble. They actually took them to 6 games. And honestly, I think that this Bucks team right now is better than the Bucks team that they had last year. Granted, the Raptors are a little bit better. But this matchup right here, is this like a surprise? If you guys, do you guys think that this could potentially be an upset? Alex, I'll start with you.
I think it depends on what Raptors team comes to play. I think if Kyle Lowry has 5 points every game, no. But if he comes out and he's the Kyle and DeMar, like their little mesh that they have going on, I think that they could pull it out. But I also know that they have a history to choke in the playoffs, and so you never know what could happen.
I think this, going off what you said, I think this is a totally different Raptors team. I think this isn't the same Raptors teams where they're really reliant on DeMar and Kyle Lowry. But now they have a better bench. They have one of the best benches in the league. They have the emergence of Serge Ibaka. He's been a pivotal player, defensive anchor, and then also a big that can stretch the floor and shoot the 3. I think that this is a different Raptors team, and I just don't see an upset coming in the first round this year.
Definitely. Honestly, I'm not going to be too surprised if the Bucks end up upsetting the Raptors, just because the history that DeMar and Kyle Lowry both have in terms of choking in the playoffs. And if they don't come to play their A game, and you've got a guy like Giannis who's going to give you 35, 7, and 5, like that's going to be a tough team to beat. Like this is a very talented Bucks roster. They just haven't really been able to put the pieces together. But that's definitely going to be something I'm going to be looking at. Okay, so now I want to turn it over to the Western Conference, which is an absolute mess right now. It's really tough to predict what the seedings are. As it stands right now, only 6 games separate the 3 seed and the 10 seed. Right now, the 3 seed Blazers and the 10 seed Clippers. So I want to take actually a look at the Denver and the Denver Nuggets and the Clippers. Both are on the outside looking in. Alex, would you be surprised if either Denver or LA found a way to make it into the playoffs this year?
I think Denver has a better shot than LA does. I think Denver, if they can beat the Timberwolves when they play them for their last game of the season, I think that they could easily make it. I think LA's on the
You think
bottom.
yeah.
I think they're out.
I agree. I think it's going to take a miracle for the Clippers to make it in.
Yeah, going off with Alex, the Clippers are 2 games back of the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. I believe they're out. I think right now it's between the Timberwolves and the Nuggets, and I honestly like the Nuggets coming in on top. Jimmy Butler, he's coming back from his injury. The Timberwolves have struggled without him. Is he going to be the Jimmy Butler that we know, back in shape? I don't believe so. I think that the Timberwolves will struggle, and I think the Nuggets will take it.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with both of you guys, actually. I think the emergence of Paul Millsap, him coming back into the lineup, really is big for the Nuggets because that gives them a very versatile defender. And if they can get Jamal Murray, Gary Harris, Will Barton going, then that would be huge because we all know what Nikola Jokic is capable of. He's one of the best young big men in the league. And now, as it stands now, I kind of want to look at this potential matchup. So we would have the 3 seed Blazers versus the 6 seed Thunder. And like I said before, the regular season game and the postseason game are completely 2 different things. Like I said, in the playoffs, I think it comes down to who stars can shine the brightest. And right now, if the Thunder and Blazers were to match up in 3 and 6, I honestly would think the Thunder would have a very good shot at beating them. The Blazers have played absolutely excellent this year, but when the Thunder, it comes down to they have the reigning MVP, Russell Westbrook. They have Paul George, who's been a great defensive piece for them. They have Carmelo Anthony, who hasn't been the greatest, but he has the potential to show flashes, and he has playoff experience. Alex, what is something that you're looking forward to, like in this potential matchup? Do you think the Thunder could end up beating the Blazers?
If the right Thunder team shows up, if Melo can make shots, which he hasn't been doing, then yes. I mean, they obviously have the star power in Russ, PG, and Melo, but I do think that they have to show up to play. They can't, all 3 of them have to show up to play. They can't just, rely on Russ and PG. I think Melo needs to contribute, which he needs to start doing.
Definitely.
At the beginning of the season, if you would have told me this matchup, I would have been easily on the Thunder train. Russell Westbrook, Paul George, Carmelo Anthony, like you said, but they have struggled this year, and especially in Billy Donovan's offense of a ISO-heavy offense. I don't see it getting better in the playoffs. I think the Blazers are a terrific team by surprise. Damian Lillard's having a great season. CJ McCollum's having a great season. Jokic is having a great season. I just believe that the way that they're shaped, the type of offense they play, it's a shoot-heavy offense. They move the ball. They do a lot of down picks. I just think the Thunder are just too ISO-heavy, and they just end up playing ISO ball most of the game. And I just believe that the Blazers will just shoot them out the gym.
Definitely. I think if this potential matchup were to happen, I think the one key matchup for both those teams I'm going to look at is the matchup between Yusuf Nurkic and Steven Adams. I mean, we know what Russell Westbrook can do. We know what Paul George is going to do. We know what Dame and CJ are going to do. And I think that this series would come down to who can control the glass, really. So based on if it's either going to be Steven Adams or Yusuf Nurkic, I think that's really going to be telling in the series. And one more thing I want to touch on in the West is actually the Warriors. And now I'm a big proponent of what the Warriors do. I love the way they play. I love their team makeup right now. But as it stands now, they are absolutely limping into the playoffs. They're 5-5 in their last 10. They just got blown out by 20 by the Indiana Pacers, granted without Steph, but they had Durant, they had Clay, they had Draymond. And as it stands now, the Dubs would end up playing the 7-seed Pelicans, and we all know how Anthony Davis has been. Is this something that should be of concern for the Warriors? Matt, I'm going to start with you.
I think in the first round, in the sense playing the Pelicans, no, I just think Anthony Davis by himself is not enough to beat KD, Clay, and Draymond. But in further rounds, I think they will struggle if Steph does not come back and play like how Stephen Curry plays. So,
Alex, what about you?
I agree with Matthew. I think a healthy Warriors team is truly unbeatable. But I do think that if they don't have Steph back, I don't think they'll struggle getting past the Pelicans, but I do think in later rounds they could easily struggle if Steph's not back.
Yeah, I think definitely in later rounds if Steph isn't back, even in the second round, if they're going to have to play a team like possibly the Blazers or maybe the Jazz or who knows what's going on with the Spurs and Kawhi, that could definitely prove to be a problem for the Dubs. As it stands right now, would you say that the Rockets are the favorite to make it out of the Western Conference, Alex?
Without Steph, I definitely think the Rockets could make it, but with Steph, I just think they're too star-studded. They can't. They're just unbeatable.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Alex. I honestly think without Steph, I think the Rockets are the favorites. With Steph, I think it's a two-horse race between them two, but without Steph, the Rockets just have James Harden, who's going to win the MVP this year. They have Chris Paul, who beginning of the season, we thought they would struggle to mesh together, two ball-dominant players, and now they just go perfect together, and then Mike D'Antoni's system, they're just perfect.
Yeah, that's the one thing, but as we know, in the postseason, the game does slow down, so I don't know if they're going to be able to play that kind of fast-paced, just run-and-gun style that they like to. And then another thing to keep in mind, James Harden and Chris Paul don't really have the best postseason resumes in terms of how clutch they play. But nonetheless, it's going to be a very exciting playoff picture. So that's going to do it for all of us here at Full Court Press. I'm Jordan D'Souza alongside Matthew Onduho and Alex Russell. Thanks for stopping by.